power isn't taken. It's silently handed over by those who don't even realize they've lost it. It started with a handshake. A simple, friendly gesture between two colleagues. But hidden beneath that smile was a plan so subtle, so psychologically sharp, that by the time Marcus realized what was happening, it was already too late. His decisions weren't his anymore. His loyalty wasn't earned, it was engineered. And the man who shook his hand, he never raised his voice. He never gave an order. He simply understood one thing. Control isn't about domination. It's about infiltration. Welcome to Silent Tribe. Today, I'm about to reveal the most unsettling, powerful, and subtle dark psychology tricks that have been used to control minds, build cults, dominate boardrooms, and break even the strongest wills. This isn't about hypnosis. It's about real-world manipulation used by the elite, the narcissists, and the dangerously charming. If you listen closely, by the end of this video, you'll understand how to spot these tactics or use them yourself. But remember, power always comes with a price. The Puppetmaster Trick. Let me tell you about Jenna. She worked in a high-stakes PR firm in New York. Smart, assertive, the kind who didn't take crap from anyone. Then she met David, a new manager. Calm, charming, disarming. On the surface, David seemed harmless. But underneath, he was orchestrating moves like a puppeteer, pulling strings that Jenna didn't know existed. Here's how. Every time Jenna had a strong opinion, David would nod and say, "I used to think the same thing too." That one sentence was psychological warfare. It aligned him with her, made her feel validated. But then he'd follow up with, "Until I realized what I was missing." This small twist did something subtle, it placed him one step ahead. Suddenly, Jenna wasn't debating him. She was trying to understand him. She leaned in. Why? Because David wasn't confronting her. He was guiding her into doubt. And doubt is where control begins. This trick is ancient. It's called the agreement then superiority loop. First, you agree. Then, you reveal new awareness. Result: the other person drops their guard and sees you as a mentor, even if they don't realize it. This is how puppet masters make you pull your own strings. Scarcity and the silent weapon. Now let's go back to Marcus, the man we mentioned earlier. After weeks of bonding with his mysterious colleague, let's call him Ethan, Marcus found himself hooked. Ethan had this habit of disappearing. One day, he'd shower Marcus with ideas, praise, and stories that made him feel alive. The next day, nothing. No texts. No responses. Cold silence. And that silence, it wasn't absence. It was a weapon. Here's what Ethan understood. Humans don't crave attention. They crave the withdrawal of attention. This is called intermittent reinforcement, a psychological strategy, also used in casinos and toxic relationships. It's unpredictability that addicts people. It's the silence after the noise that creates obsession. Marcus began chasing. He tried harder. He gave more. Because he didn't realize he was being trained, not rewarded. Scarcity isn't just about time. It's about energy, attention, emotion. Be available all the time and you become background noise. But disappear, and they'll hear echoes of you everywhere. Control doesn't scream. It whispers and vanishes. The illusion of freedom. Now comes one of the most diabolical tricks ever used by manipulators, the illusion of choice. This tactic was mastered by cult leaders and elite salesmen alike. Let's look at an experiment. Psychologists offered two groups of people a selection of jams. Group A had 24 choices. Group B had only 6. Guess who bought more? Group B. Why? Because more choices don't empower us, they overwhelm us. Now imagine you want someone to do what you want, but make them feel like it was their idea. You say, Would you rather start with the small task or jump to the main project? Either option leads to your goal. But now, they feel in control. That's the trick. Give them a leash long enough to feel free, but short enough that they never leave your plan. This is how brands sell, bosses manipulate, and how some relationships become emotional prisons. You never saw the walls because you painted them yourself, breaking their confidence subtly. Back to Jenna. After weeks of working with David, she started doubting herself. Not because he criticized her, but because he used the seed of doubt technique. He'd say things like, "That's an interesting approach. Have you ever considered how the senior team might interpret it?" It wasn't a rejection. It was a question. One that planted insecurity while pretending to be constructive. This is psychological poison in disguise. It makes people second guess. And when they do, guess who they turn to for validation? The very person who seeded their doubt. In this case, David. Slowly, Jenna started running her decisions by him. Not because she had to, but because she no longer trusted herself. And here's the horrifying truth. The person you doubt the most is never the one controlling you. It's the person who gave you that doubt. Confidence isn't destroyed with insults. It's broken with questions. And once it's broken, you can rebuild it in your image. The mirror of influence. There's a psychological principle called mirroring. Copy someone's posture, their words, their rhythm, and their brain begins to trust you. But there's a more advanced version. Emotional mirroring. Let me explain with a story. A man named Julian wanted to become the top sales agent in his firm. He didn't just mimic gestures. He mirrored emotions. When clients spoke about struggles, he lowered his voice, slowed his breathing. When they got excited, he subtly matched their energy. Soon, people started saying, "There's just something about Julian. He gets me." No. Julian didn't get them. He became them temporarily. And once you do that, you earn trust fast. And trust, once given, lowers defenses. Once someone believes you feel like them, they are more likely to accept your suggestions even when they go against their logic. This isn't manipulation with lies. It's emotional camouflage. Become what they are to lead them where you want. The power of ambiguity. Now this one is sinister. It's used by narcissists, cult leaders, even dating coaches who teach toxic mind games. It's called the Ambiguity Trap. Say just enough to spark curiosity. Withhold just enough to trigger anxiety. For example, "I saw something interesting about you today, but I'll tell you later." That sentence, it plants a loop in the brain. One that doesn't close. Our minds are addicted to closure. When something is left incomplete, it bothers us. That's why cliffhanger work in movies. But in conversations, they create obsession. The person keeps wondering, what did they mean? Why didn't they finish? Are they hiding something? This trick works because the human brain hates ambiguity. It seeks resolution. So if you become someone who gives half-truths, incomplete stories, vague compliments, you become an unsolved mystery. And people chase mysteries more than they chase certainty. Final warning, use with caution. Before we close, you need to hear this. These tricks aren't just psychological games. They reprogram relationships. They reshape self-image. They can break someone or build them. So if you're going to use these, do it to protect yourself, to become aware, to outplay the manipulators, not become one. Because remember this, when you control others, you inherit their damage. When you free yourself, you inherit your truth. Marcus. He finally walked away from Ethan after realizing he hadn't made a single independent decision in months. Jenna. She reported David and started therapy to rebuild her sense of self. You now know what most people don't. Dark psychology isn't fiction. It's real. It's powerful. And it's everywhere. So stay aware. Stay sharp. And above all, stay silent. If you found this eye-opening, make sure to subscribe to Silent Tribe, where we reveal what others hide. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you've ever experienced any of these tricks, knowingly or unknowingly. And remember, in a world full of noise, power belongs to those who move in silence.